Ancient Sumerians were more than familiar with handbags, or perhaps objects that modern people perceive as such. Several Sumerian carvings include depictions of handbag-like shaped items.
The ancient Sumerians were familiar with a strange object, one that modern people can only describe as a handbag. Across their stone carvings, a rigid box-shaped container with a curved handle appears again and again. But this was no ordinary object. In the dust of Mesopotamia, it was found clutched in the hands of gods. And then, the same symbol appeared across the Atlantic, in Mexico, and at a site older than the pyramids, older than Stonehenge, older than history. This should be impossible. Most people fixate on the bag itself, but the true mystery isn't the object. It's what was inside it, something that points to lost technology, a forgotten global culture, and a truth that challenges everything we think we know. Mesopotamia's impossible object. Our story begins in the cradle of civilization, ancient Mesopotamia, specifically the ruins of the Great Palace of Nimrud in modern-day Iraq, a jewel of the Neo-Assyrian Empire. Imagine being there in the 1800s. The English archaeologist Austin Henry Layard is digging through desert sands, revealing the lost palace of King Ashurnasirpal II, one of the ruthless conquerors of his age. His palace walls were lined with enormous slabs of gypsum alabaster, carved in exquisite detail, and on those walls stood towering, inhuman figures, the Apkallu. The Apkallu were more than decoration. In ancient Mesopotamian legend, they were semi-divine sages who survived the Great Flood long before these stories appeared anywhere else. They were shown with eagle heads or vast wings, and ancient texts say they brought humanity the first knowledge: writing, agriculture, law, architecture, and their leader was even stranger.
The earliest Sumerian records describe the first Apkallu as Oannes, a being shaped like a fish, but with a human voice, a human body, and human feet beneath the fish skin. According to the historian Berosus, Oannes rose from the Persian Gulf each morning to teach primitive humans everything they needed to build civilization, then returned to the sea at night. This story of a non-human teacher god emerging from the water is at the foundation of the world's first civilization. And now, back inside the palace of Nimrud, archaeologists noticed something strange. These winged Apkallu carried two objects: a pine cone in one hand, and in the other, that rigid, unmistakable handbag. Not floppy, not a pouch. A structured device, perfectly symmetrical, with a semicircular handle and detailed carvings. Mainstream historians said it was simply a ritual vessel called a bandadu, used to hold holy water or sacred pollen applied with the cone during purification rites. A reasonable explanation. But it didn't fit the deeper story. The Apkallu weren't just purifying trees, they were delivering the blueprint of civilization. Oannes wasn't blessing crops, he was giving humanity knowledge. If these beings carried the source of their power, their knowledge or their tools, then that bucket may not have been a bucket at all. And the mystery only grew when the symbol appeared nowhere near Mesopotamia. A planet of handbags. If the handbag symbol were just a local ritual tool, it would appear only in Assyria. But it doesn't. It appears across the ancient world. The first shock came from Turkey, from a site that should not exist, Göbekli Tepe. This 12,000-year-old megalithic complex, 7,000 years before the pyramids, shattered every belief about human history. Supposed hunter-gatherers at the end of the Ice Age somehow quarried, transported, and erected 10 to 50-ton stone pillars with precision we still can't explain. And on one of those pillars, Pillar 43, are 3 rigid, perfectly carved handbags. This predates Sumer by millennia. But the mystery didn't stay in Turkey. Travel 5,000 miles across the Atlantic to ancient Mesoamerica. At the Olmec site of La Venta, a carving known as Stela 19 shows a deity, possibly Quetzalcoatl, descending from the sky, clutching the exact same box-shaped handbag. Different continent, different culture. Same symbol, same meaning. A god bringing knowledge. The Toltecs continued it. The Maori of New Zealand told of baskets containing divine wisdom. Egypt had versions of it. Even the Egyptian ankh, with its looped handle, may be a stylized form of the same device. This is not coincidence. Multiple isolated cultures didn't independently invent an identical, rigid, symmetrical, technologically shaped container as the symbol of divine knowledge. It was a message passed across oceans and across ages. But what was the message?
What was in the bag? The God machine. If the bag wasn't for seeds or water, what was inside it? Here are the leading theories, each more unsettling than the last. Theory 1. The seed bank. The bag held the literal seeds of civilization. Right after Göbekli Tepe's era, agriculture exploded simultaneously in distant, unconnected regions. The Fertile Crescent, China, Mesoamerica, the Indus Valley. Was it really coincidence? What if the gods carried climate-controlled seed vaults and the knowledge of how to cultivate them? A Genesis device meant to restart the world after a cataclysm. Theory number 2, a portable power source. What if the bag wasn't a container at all, but a device, a compact generator, a handheld power unit? Engineers still can't explain how ancient cultures moved 50-ton stones, cut megaliths with laser-like precision, or transported colossal Olmec heads through swamps. What if they weren't dragged? What if they were lifted? A portable energy source could explain the impossible feats seen around the ancient world. The gods carried it because it was their power. Theory number 3, the genetic toolkit. Look at the carvings again. The Apkallu touch the sacred tree, and sometimes the king himself. Was this symbolic purification or something else? What if the cone was a biological instrument, a delivery tool, a scanner, a syringe? What if the handbag contained genetic material, DNA templates used to uplift early humans? The sudden explosion in human intelligence remains unexplained. What if humanity wasn't just taught, but engineered? Theory number 4, the consciousness device. The cone resembles the pineal gland. The pineal gland resembles the pine cone. The pine cone symbolizes spiritual awakening across countless cultures. What if the bag emitted a frequency, vapor, or field that altered consciousness, unlocking higher thought and creativity? The sprinkling motion may not have been water. It may have been an aerosol, an energy emission, an activation, a mass awakening tool. Theory number 5, the reality projector. This is the most extreme idea. What if the bag was a quantum device, a tool for shaping or stabilizing reality itself? The sacred tree may represent the structure of the cosmos, the code. The Apkallu may have been technicians maintaining that code. The bag would then be the most powerful object that ever existed. The disappearance and the cover-up. For thousands of years, the handbag was one of the most important symbols in human art. Then suddenly, it vanished. By classical times, it was gone. Why? Theory 1. The gods left. The beings, whoever or whatever they were, finished their work and departed, taking their technology with them. All that remained were legends and stone carvings. Theory 2. Deliberate erasure. As new religions rose, old symbols became threats. A device that gave humans knowledge didn't fit the New World Order. So it was buried, forbidden, forgotten. The Vatican's enormous bronze pine cone, The piña may be a remnant of this forbidden symbol, a trophy of knowledge locked away in this secret archives. Secret societies, Freemasons, Rosicrucians, may be the inheritors of the old teachings. And some suspect the military rediscovered the technology in the 20th century, perhaps at Roswell, leading to the explosive technological leap after WW2. But the most shocking possibility? The survivors of a lost civilization. Maybe the gods weren't aliens. Maybe they were us. Before the Younger Dryas cataclysm 12,000 years ago, there may have been an advanced global human civilization. Atlantis, Lemuria, eradicated by floods, fire, or impacts. A handful survived. They carried the last remnants of their lost technology. The handbag. They traveled the world rebuilding civilization among the scattered hunter-gatherers who remained. This explains why Göbekli Tepe appears suddenly and impossibly advanced, why the symbol is found globally, why myths of teachers from across the sea appear everywhere. The bag was a survival kit, a portable archive of their lost world. But then comes the final question. What destroyed them? What wiped out this civilization so completely that only one symbol remains? What if the handbag was both a tool and a warning? What if the same technology that uplifted humanity also triggered a catastrophe? A device that draws energy from other dimensions, a tool that bends space or reality. One mistake would be enough to end a world. The survivors carved the handbag in stone, not as a decoration, but as a message to future humanity. This is what built our world, and this is what destroyed it. A warning carved in temples, pyramids, and monoliths. We reached too far. We broke the world. Do not repeat our mistake. And we have spent 12,000 years trying to decode that warning.
Implications of this discovery. The discovery of the mysterious handbag symbol across multiple ancient civilizations, Sumerian, Mesopotamian, Anatolian, Olmec, and even pre-Ice Age sites, carries profound implications that challenge mainstream history, archaeology, anthropology, and our understanding of ancient human knowledge. At first glance, these carvings appear simple. Small, purse-shaped objects held by gods, kings, or supernatural beings. But the deeper we look, the stranger the picture becomes. Civilizations separated by oceans, continents, and thousands of years somehow depicted the same object with nearly identical proportions and iconography. That alone forces us to rethink everything we thought we knew about the ancient world. The first major implication is the possibility of a shared cultural origin. For centuries, scholars believed that early civilizations developed independently. Yet this repeated symbol suggests that either a lost earlier implications of this discovery. The discovery of the mysterious handbag symbol across multiple ancient civilizations, Sumerian, Mesopotamian, Anatolian, Olmec, and even pre-Ice Age sites, carries profound implications that challenge mainstream history, archaeology, anthropology, and our understanding of ancient human knowledge. At first glance, these carvings appear simple, small, purse-shaped objects held by gods, kings, or supernatural beings. But the deeper we look, the stranger the picture becomes. Civilizations separated by oceans, continents, and thousands of years somehow depicted the same object with nearly identical proportions and iconography. That alone forces us to rethink everything we thought we knew about the ancient world. The first major implication is the possibility of a shared cultural origin. For centuries, scholars believed that early civilizations developed independently.
Yet this repeated symbol suggests that either a lost earlier culture influenced them all, or that there was some form of communication or shared memory predating known history. If the symbol truly appears at sites older than the last ice age, before the rise of cities, then our understanding of human antiquity may be dramatically incomplete. It hints at an advanced, knowledge-holding society erased by cataclysm, whose lessons survived only as fragmented symbols passed down through myth and ritual. Secondly, the symbol may represent ancient technological or spiritual knowledge far beyond what we associate with early civilizations. Many researchers propose that these handbags were not literal objects, but metaphors, containers of wisdom, the bag of civilization, or the seed of knowledge. In Sumerian mythology, gods such as Enki and Ninjutsu carry these bags while establishing order, laws, and crafts. Across the ocean, the Olmec deity Quetzalcoatl, bringer of agriculture and astronomy, holds the same shape. This parallel suggests that ancient people may have associated the symbol with divine instruction, cosmic order, or the transmission of advanced teachings. If so, then the handbags may encode a message that civilization itself was a gift or revelation, not merely a slow evolutionary process.
Another implication is the potential existence of pre-global cataclysm contact. Conventional archaeology argues that ancient populations were isolated, yet these symbols challenge that narrative. If similar motifs exist in both hemispheres long before transoceanic voyages were possible, then either our timelines are wrong or ancient peoples had abilities, seafaring, navigation, or otherwise, that we have not yet recognized. It raises questions about forgotten maritime cultures, land bridges, or shared storytelling that predates the division of continents. Finally, the discovery forces us to reconsider the spiritual worldview of early humanity. The fact that this symbol is consistently held by divine or semi-divine figures suggests a universal archetype embedded deep within human consciousness. Perhaps ancient peoples across the world attempted to describe the same cosmic encounter or the same type of being. Whether interpreted as gods, visitors, or heavenly messengers, the universality implies that early humanity may have experienced something profound, something that shaped their collective memory and inspired their earliest myths. In essence, the handbag symbol is more than an artifact, it is a doorway, a clue that the ancient world was far more connected, far more advanced, and far more mysterious than modern history has dared to accept.